Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah and I was going to take us out and about today, but I'm going to have to do that on another day because I got to thinking about where we were going to go. And it was a back road that's about an hour away from my house that has a little hand-drawn sign on it, and it's supposed to go someplace kind of cool. But the more I started to think about it, it's just a gravel road. The more I started to think about it, I started to think about like Deliverance and could hear the banjo, right? And then I thought, have I ever actually seen Deliverance? Have you seen Deliverance? If you were born in a certain era, you know about Deliverance, right? It's a movie about a group of handsome. I mean, Burt Reynolds was in the movie, right? Handsome executives from a suburban, urban area, and they go whitewater rafting in rural somewhere. I don't even know where the rural somewhere is. I do remember the kid who was the banjo player. And they go in with their typical urban, suburban selves, and they find out that rural areas are not quite what they thought they were, which happens a lot because I live in a rural area. But it got me thinking, and I think they all didn't survive the trip or something like that. But the movie is actually embedded in my consciousness. Like, when I thought of that gravel road and driving down it alone, I mean, you guys would be with me, but I'm still just doing a video, right? So I was like, I don't think I want to explore this on my own. I have to find someplace else that feels a little bit more safe. And the fact that Deliverance came to my mind and I realized I don't believe I've ever seen the movie made me start to think about other movies that maybe I haven't seen and maybe you haven't seen or maybe you have that are embedded in my consciousness. A couple of YouTubers that I've been watching, they have been going to the Stanley Hotel, and I have a friend who went to the Stanley Hotel last year. And it's just sort of this iconic hotel, right? Because it's the place that Stephen King had the nightmare in room 217. And he got the whole idea for The Shining, which became this like phenomenally popular movie. And I have the image of the twins in my mind. I have the image of Jack Nicholson trying to get into wherever, because he slowly went mad because he was in the caretaker's cottage. I know the story. I don't think I've ever read Stephen King Stand. I've read a lot of Stephen King, but I read The Stand. I don't think I've ever read The Shining. And I realized that I don't know if I've ever actually seen the movie. I remember the RedRum. I believe it was on a mirror in a bathroom, but I don't believe I've ever seen the movie. And to have that embedded in your consciousness and in the consciousness of pretty much everyone who lived in the Western world during that era is sort of a phenomenal thing, because that is not really going on today, right? I remember seeing Jaws. I mean, I still can't go into a swimming pool without thinking about a great white shark. Oh my God. That's so weird to admit, but also if I go swimming in a lake, I'm not a water person anyway, but if I go swimming in a lake, I'm like, what's down there? It's a freshwater lake. There's no Jaws down there. But my head goes to, ooh, Jaws. I saw Jaws a lot. E.T. was another one. I know I saw E.T. But the other one, the other movie that I realized had such a huge effect on our consciousnesses, if you were in my age group, was the Poseidon Adventure. Long before the Titanic, Shelley Winters in the Poseidon Adventure. And I was watching a movie, I think it was Jamie Winship is the man. I don't know what his wife's name. They do they do sort of Bible commentary and stuff, but they were talking about how he had taken her on this surprise 3-day cruise because they needed to get away. And she said she got onto the cruise ship and she started to get really anxious. And she was like, oh my gosh, and she said immediately she thought of the Poseidon adventure. And I was like, I knew exactly what she was talking about. Because if you remember in the Poseidon adventure, what happened is the cruise ship flips upside down. And Shelley Winters, that was the first time I ever really remember Shelley Winters. But Shelley Winters was freaking out because they had to swim, the little pocket of survivors who were trying to get out of this ship that had flipped upside down. They had to swim underneath this section to get to another section to get out, right? And I was like, I will never forget that. And it's those types of things that really struck me, that we have in a certain age group, we have a collective consciousness, right? In that we all went to see, like I said, we all went to see Star Wars. We all went to see Jaws. I mean, Star Wars, for some of us, it was in the movie theaters. Indiana Jones in the movie theaters. Jaws in the movie theaters. I don't think I've ever seen The Shining, but I know what the storyline is, and I have memories of the images of it because they were so prevalent. And the same with Deliverance, right? Easy Rider, another one, right? I never saw Easy Rider, but I have that iconic photo or that iconic video clip of, I think it was Fonda. It wasn't Henry. Jane Fonda's brother, I can't remember his name right now. Write it down in the comments if you if you remember. But it was the Fonda boy, Fonda, who I think it was Dennis Hopper was in that movie too. But you have that image of them riding down the highway on their Harley Davidsons, right? And we all went and saw the same things. We all read the same books. I mean, I don't know if about you, but I read a lot of Stephen King. It's amazing. I didn't read The Shining, right? But my last book that I read of his, honestly, was Pet Sematary. The guy is amazing, right? He's a prolific writer. He's an amazing storyteller. Apparently, when he had that nightmare at the Stanley Hotel, he had the whole book mapped out in his head like that. I mean, that's the way his mind works. You see him on social media now, and he's still he's still popping, and he gets himself in trouble, but he's still that prolific storyteller and writer, and just an amazing creative. And a lot of us read his books. I mean, Carrie, Firestarter. I mean, they all turned into these iconic movies, and I did see those movies, right? Carrie with Hedrick, Sissy Hedrick, I think it was. And then obviously Drew Barrymore in Firestarter, all of those, which is how we all know when we watch Stranger Things that those types of experiments actually happened because they were used as a basis by Stephen King for those books, those stories, right? And that's an aside, is that when I've talked to younger people about Stranger Things, a lot of them didn't realize those experiments happened, right? With the mind control, the drugs, the LSD, the mind expansion drugs, that type of thing, the surgeries, to see if there could be some sort of telepathic communication or a way to start fires with your mind or to control other people, that type of thing. That was all experimental, and that stuff was all going on. So for some of the younger people I talked to who, I'm like, yeah, that was actually based on a real thing. They're like, oh my gosh, really? I'm like, yeah, it's probably still going on, but we don't really know about it. And there's not the rumor mill that there used to be either. It's funny because ever since with the age of the internet, we know a lot more, but it's much more difficult to trust things, right? So we all actually draw from this collective consciousness. And it made me realize how siloed everything is now. Because if you're not in a certain silo, you don't even know who X and Y singer is, or who that actress is, or who that celebrity is. I mean, I think we really lived through the golden age of the celebrities. I mean, we all knew who Brooke Shields was. We all knew who Michael Jackson was. We all knew who Molly Ringwald was, and it was a way of communicating that was just taken for granted. I mean, as far as books go, who let us read Flowers in the Attic? I think about that now. And V.C. Andrews had an amazing backstory herself. Sounded a little toxic-y, but you could see why she wrote the books and the stories that she wrote. But I was reading those when I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, maybe 11, and I read all of those books. I don't know if I would want to read them now, honestly, but I remember them, and I remember seeing the movies as well. And it just reminded me of that, and I just wanted to share that with you, that we may be the last generation to have that collective consciousness where all our celebrities were the same, all our books were the same, all our movies were the same. We have the shared trauma of thinking about being eaten by a great white shark whenever we go into any water. Maybe not the bathtub, but sometimes. We know what the Stanley Hotel is. That type of thing. And I just wanted to share that with you because I think it's kind of cool to have that in common. And it's something that I think the younger generations are missing, although they do have some of their commonalities as well. It's just not the same. But I'm not going to go down a Deliverance road just so we can see what's down the gravel road with the handwritten sign. But I am going to take us somewhere that's cool and interesting, where we can just meander through, look at the shops, maybe see a mural or two, and see the history of a place. So make sure you tune in, and I will take us there, but I'm not going to take us to Deliverance Land. So if you like this video, I'm so glad you came back to share my journey with me. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'd love to see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.